Hey everyone, this is your Minion of the East for another weekly vlog. This is going to be week 3 of my stay here in Japan, so might as well give my weekly report on what happened this previous week. So, this last week was my first week of classes here. I'm taking a couple of Japanese courses, basic Japanese and kanji. I'm also taking Japanese culture, literature, and I'll be doing modern culture, modern history this coming weekend to make up for the past weeks that will be missing. And what else? Oh, yeah, martial arts, which will not happen until my second half of the semester. Due to two different groups going for the martial arts, and I'm in the second group. Alright, so just a basic rundown of what my classes are like. Japanese 2. I've already taken basic Japanese back in my home university, so I got a bit of a hang of Japanese already, and I've already, at the beginning right now, it's chapters I've previously learned beforehand. But it's going to be a bit of a difficulty because I tend to not study my Japanese very often in between semesters, and that hinders me greatly. But I come back within a few weeks, all mentally prepared and everything. Kanji is going to be pretty much everything I've learned up to this point, so this should be a bit of a breeze if I remember how my kanji go correctly. Then next is a literature course, which I'll be going through various Japanese literature, and that'll help me with my minor. Then modern Japanese culture. Alright, modern Japanese culture is going to be around from near the end of the 19th century to today, and after they lifted their ban of outside foreigners and opened themselves to the rest of the world. And then, oh yeah, I forgot Japanese film. I'll be watching Japanese movies and discussing and analyzing them with my classmates, and that's pretty much my forte right there. Is I like to analyze films for fun and just dig at the information that's in it, and learning some Japanese film techniques, and that course is going to be pretty fun. Other than that, the rest of my classes are probably, like I said, not going to start until my second half of the semester. So, but what else went on this week? Well, I've been trying to get myself a bit more focused on the rest of the town, see if I can understand a bit of the location. Gotta get a haircut sooner or later. I mean, if I don't, I might as well look like my hair's gonna grow down back my shoulders, or I'm gonna get a big beard. But I think I just talk about some of what I've been on my mind lately. First off, I'm starting to get that bit of a feeling of culture shock coming in right now. I've been trying to adjust to all the norms here in Japan, like the different food that's here. And for the most part, I'm getting fine on the food. But what drains me is that not only is the food not to my liking, there's just foods that I'm familiar with back home that's not really healthy or not really good to eat on a daily basis. So it's a bit of a struggle to try and get used to foods here, and trying to find foods anywhere else, like at stores or something, most of which are sweets, and I don't want to go down that road. So trying to get something accustomed to and I'm not liking, like fish, is still a big of a struggle for me. Well, it's not like that daily when I have to eat it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's going to be one of those things I'm going to have to try and stomach, but also hopefully get a liking for or taste for in the long run. Another thing is the constant need to keep some of myself organized and balanced, like with what's going around me. Other than studies, I have to try and keep myself focused on trying to keep myself connected every day so I don't lose contact with anyone on the internet, because like I said previously, I believe is that the internet is very, very finicky. I'm constantly going between floors just to keep my signal, and it's really, really tough. And trying to get my one of the bigger problems is trying to get my clothes clean, and honestly, the washer and dryers here aren't worth shit at all. The washers here, while they get your clothes washed, they'll drench them in water. And then the dryers, even if they do dry, you'll have to pretty much do like very, very minimal clothes in there, like about 3 to 4 days worth of clothes you can only fit in those dryers. And if you try and overstuff them, it's not going to dry them. And these are washer and dryers you constantly have to pay about 100 yen, so that's almost 75 to 80 cents right there that you're blowing away if they don't dry or wash properly. And I've had to go through about almost $5 worth just to get my clothes dry. And in the end, they still didn't, and I had to dry them out here. Thankfully, there's still that option, so you don't have to dry your clothes in the dryer. You can still air dry them, because the temperature here in the weather is pretty warm, and you'll get those sunny days that they will dry, but you'll have to constantly keep your need on them and have to make sure that they dry and the moisture is all off the clothes too before you can properly hang them or put them away. Because even after thought I was done drying them, they were still moist, and even after putting them away days later, they still had that moist feeling or damp feeling, and it wasn't good. So I'm hopefully trying to learn my lesson from that. But even then, I'm like just today, even with very little clothes I'm using, they are not drying at all. So even though back in my home university, I'm used to drying or washing my clothes if time permits, or if I'm not able to go home for the weekends, but they're at least passable and they do get the job done. These here do not. And that's kind of a big thing. And another thing is trying to keep myself have a well hygiene. And I also learned today that not many places here in Japan even sell bars of soap, and like for your hands or your body, like just for the shower in general. Hand soap you can probably find, but it's always the foam kind. Body soap, you'll have to get the lotions, like for your body, not bars of soap, like ones you put for those sponge things. So that's a bit of a big thing there, but there's just so many things I gotta replace that I'm not familiar with. And another thing is, I don't know how to clean my bathroom too much, because the toilets here don't get managed. So we have to constantly look after our toilets ourselves. But I'm trying to think a bit long term here, because in the end I will be leaving here near the end of the summer. So I want to try to figure out things that I will be bringing back with me, and the things that I only used here, I'll have to get rid of, and I don't want to buy anything that I'll only use once or twice, and then end up throwing away later, and that blew all of my money. But I don't want to live in a place that's kind of dirty without trying to keep myself have a well hygiene, or be living in a messy room. I guess I'm just too used to the accommodations I have back home. I'm not to the point where I'm missing home completely. I'm just just small changes I'll have to get used to. But that's me. I've been used to changing environments, and this one should be no different. I don't want to be too cocky, but I gotta make the best of what I can and try and work my ways around it until I'm ready to go back. I also have to keep myself money conscious because I also have to pay my own bills here, apparently. About 2,000 yen a month for both electric and water, so if I don't pay them like anyone else, they have to shut it off. But I've always made payments on when it comes to online stuff as for pay a month, so I'm always on top of that. But I think this is a bit of a good experience for me with all these changes I'm having right here, because not only will I'm also trying to keep my room clean, my facilities clean, and keeping everything to myself, by keeping myself well organized, having a time schedule going, and when to do these things at what time are pretty good life experiences that they'll teach you when you're ready to live on your own. Because quite frankly, this is a bit of a lesson if anyone decides to take advice, is that sometimes we take our accommodations for granted. We are sometimes served by our parents, our step parents, our foster parents, whoever, our guardians, whoever takes care of you, and we just sometimes take it for granted, and we don't appreciate the work they do, and never bother to do that work ourselves. Personally, I do this stuff myself. After high school, I decided to take care of myself and learn these skills ahead of time. But for those of you who still feel like you want to try and learn to do these things, the best thing to do is try to imagine like what it would be without them around. Because sooner or later, you will be away from your friends or family, living on your own and doing your own life, and you'll have to manage these things yourself. There won't be times everyone's going to come to help you out. And this is a perfect example for me. I'm in another country on the other side of the world, away from everyone I know. And yet I still have to take care of myself. I have to watch over my own money, clean my own clothes, keep my room neat and tidy, keep myself well organized, keep a time schedule, do my homework, know my way around the town and the country. And I'm also the minority here, and I have to know what to do and what not to do around the natives. It's going to be tough. I just want to say a couple of words of advice, because this isn't only for advice for studying abroad, it's just advice for life. It's for anyone who wants to take that first step and try to be a good example to everyone else. Because there are honestly not many people out in the world who even do this stuff for themselves anymore, or never even learned how to. So I think it's best that you do these things. Because sooner or later, life's just gonna come up behind you and give you a wake-up call. Didn't mean to sound depressing there. I just wanted to get that off my chest. Was there anything positive I had to happen to me this week? Well, yeah, there was a couple things that happened on the weekend. Still, I had fun at the end of the week. For my Japanese class, we were watching a movie, and we'll be able to continue that this Friday, yeah. So it's fun to talk with the rest of the students about the film we were watching, and we're doing all different types of genres, and I was happy about that. And when this weekend came, as I've been doing the last couple weeks I've been here, going out drinking with the rest of some of the students or some of my new friends here, and it's really fun. We went out, had a good time, talked with everyone, had a couple drinks. It's sad to say one of us got sick. I'm not going to say who, but we learned our lesson, and quite frankly, some of us were a bit embarrassed because this happened in front of other Japanese customers, and we didn't want to set up a bad example of foreigners being like this in their country. But we all made it home okay. None of us were all except for one person. We all got home sober enough, and we just had to slept it all off in the end. What else? Oh yeah. When I'm here in Japan, I also have a conversation partner. While I learn Japanese, I believe my partner is also learning English. So there's a bit of a training for both of us, and it's probably going to help me out to practice my Japanese a bit more. And I definitely want to try and learn and practice myself, because the biggest advice that they give us here learning a new language is talk to the natives in their native language. That way you'll get a much better practice and feel, especially when you're in a Japanese course. When you're constantly learning new things, it's best to try and practice in the conversation, get some topic conversations going. And she introduced me to her friends too, and we're meet at lunchtime once a week, and it's a nice experience. I get to see just talking to the people here, and wish I could see it, show everyone what the university is like on this channel, but it's going to be pretty long today, or I don't have any videos of this. I'm going to have pictures, but I don't know how I'll share that. But but yeah, with things going on here, I have had a couple things. I had to cancel some of my online subscriptions to manage my own money and keep myself self-conscious of what's going on. With the very little clothes I have here, I've got to know when to clean my clothes once in a while. And only realized also this week, and probably last week I also should have said, is that many of the websites, apps, or whatever else I use aren't usable here in Japan because the Wi-Fi is on a Japanese server. So most of the stuff I'll go to is default in Japanese, and many of the apps don't work here in Japan. And even online, when I go to search stuff, most top searches are in Japanese. So even on Netflix, the majority of the movies are in Japanese, but even the ones that are English have Japanese audio options. So there's several familiar things I have to get used to that I'm not familiar with. But thankfully, many of the games I play, including online ones, still work here in Japan, so I'm not completely cut off. And I still have entertainment. I still got DVDs in my games I brought with me, so I'm not completely alone or bored out of my mind. But the major thing is I just want to have my options open. But I also want to try the majority of exploring the country a bit more. I managed to go see the post office last week as well, so I know where to go whenever I want to send any mail back home to my friends and family, but also get cash, because I had to go halfway across town just to get to a local 7-Eleven just to get withdraw cash beforehand, and it's not a pretty fun walk. It's much better than walking uphill to the mountaintop to my university. Oh yeah. But yeah, there wasn't much for me to talk about anyways, other than what's on my mind lately. It was just mostly me starting up my classes. And, oh yeah, the university. One last thing I want to say is that since I miss my pets so much, they give me comfort on a bad day. But I think I have a lucky star because the university has 2 cats that walk around campus that they care for and are friendly towards the students. So I always have cats to pet whenever I'm down or lonely or just feeling a bit depressed or stressed, and they give me comfort whenever I'm there. I just hope I've got one of my pets still around when I'm back. Frankly, my cat is 17, nearing 18 by this point, and I still want to be around him for the time he's got left. Because if I were to get the news that he passed on when I'm not around, it don't want that to happen. Especially when I'm here and I would feel powerless because I wasn't there. I didn't want to get into depressing stuff. Alright. Yeah, there wasn't much to talk about this week, but again, it's mostly stuff I just wanted to get off my chest and just talk about in front of the camera. And just doing this all unscripted. I did this before. I wrote everything down in my journal too, so I couldn't get anything in my head, but I gotta make sure I write this down by the end of this. But anyway, this is all I wanted to talk about this week, so I'll be around for next week's vlog, and as usual for my weekly vlog series here in Japan, and I hope to get back to you guys next time. So until next time, this has been your Minion of the East, and being nighttime here, but I think by the time this is uploaded it'll be morning, so have a good day to you guys, and for me it's a good night. So until next time, take care everyone.